Hey everybody, welcome back to Coffee Connections. My name is Seth Weiner and I am your Rocktioneer. Coffee Connections, insights with innovators, talking to folks, those innovators in the Atlanta nonprofit world. I hope everyone's doing well. It's another gorgeous day. I mean, seriously, like Coffee Connection days are like gorgeous days. I don't know what's up, but it's a great day. I'm feeling good. I hope you're feeling good. I said this on the last show and I'm going to say it again. If you're a nonprofit, get a plan B together, folks. Don't go into this season blindsided, with blinders on and with fear. Go in there with confidence. Take a minute, figure out a plan B. Are you going to go hybrid on your event? What does hybrid even mean? Just have a plan B. There's no reason to go into it because you don't want to lose the supporters and you want to make sure your supporters are comfortable and can engage and give to your cause and also be up to date with what's going on with your cause. So check out hybrids. There's so many different ways to do it. And look, I'm going to tell you right now, if you go to a production company, they're going to give you a bill for $20,000 and it doesn't have to be that expensive. There's all different ways to do it. Now at the $20,000 level, you're going to get what you pay for, but there are ways to do it still pro. I mean, look what we're using here. This software is great and you could use this software, StreamYard, to do your stuff as well. And I'm not sponsored or anything by them. I'm just sharing. So I want to share that with you because I know a lot of my clients I'm talking to are a little concerned as to what are they going to do as we get into this new season of fundraising. In Atlanta, there's a mask mandate again. So what does that mean? No more fear. Let's get ahead of this. There's a way to do that. So if you want some free consultation, contact your Rocktioneer. But that's not why you're here. You're here because it's time for Coffee Connections. Let's go ahead and talk about today's guest. We've got Kate Kratovil with she's the site director for Horizons Atlanta. Now, for over 8 years, Kate has enjoyed working in the Atlanta nonprofit sector. She's the site director, as I mentioned, over at the Horizons Atlanta at Holy Innocents Epicole. I always pronounce the name wrong. I really got to work on my name pronunciation. But anyway, Horizons Atlanta is a 6-week summer learning experience that supports students from underserved communities throughout the K-12 academic careers. Now, Horizons Atlanta is, well, I'm gonna let her tell you all about it because I can read and read. But Kate's got an interesting background. And she was just telling me about how she came from the sports world and was working with nonprofits there and now is fully invested in them. So let's bring Kate to the program. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Kate, let's go ahead and click this button and welcome her.
Hey, Seth.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. It's summertime, and I'm happy. Summertime is iced coffee season, but are you a coffee drinker?
So I'm actually a tea gal. I'm really not so much into the caffeinated beverages, but I do really enjoy like an herbal mint tea. So that's my
interesting.
Choice.
You know, my last guest on Tuesday was also a tea drinker. So we're going to go ahead and change it. Let me change coffee. It's tea time with Kate.
Yeah.
Well, now they're going to think we're a golfing show.
Well, and I might spill the tea, right? So you never know.
Well, how would you spill it? What would you spill it out of? Do you have a tea mug?
Well, I do. It's a Holy Innocents Episcopal School where I work.
That's it.
Yes, Episcopal, as in Holy Innocents Episcopal School in the church. So that's where we work, and that's where we have our Horizon site. But it's a little kind of exciting because we're actually one of Horizon sites in one of 10 in Metro Atlanta. So I'm the site director here at the Holy Innocents Episcopal School location, but we have other sites throughout Metro Atlanta. We actually just had the Galloway School join us. They had their first summer. Cool. We're down at Woodward. We're at Georgia Tech. So we're everywhere and we're growing.
Well, we're not gonna do the coffee chat because you don't drink coffee. I don't know how you don't like your beans or like your beans. But what I'm gonna hand the mic over to you. Can you go ahead and tell everyone about Horizons and give us explain who we're talking with and what is it that you do?
Yeah, so Horizons is a national nonprofit organization, 501c3. Came about in the 1960s in Connecticut. In 1999, we found ourselves here in Atlanta at Holy Innocents Episcopal School. And from there, a few years later, we actually became a region. So Atlanta, Horizons Atlanta is its own region, and I'm supported by that office and obviously the school here. So kind of partnering with both kind of organizations, the school and then the 501c3, which is Horizons. And we have been here then for 22 years now. So we've been serving underserved, under-resourced students, K-8, although we do have some high school programming. Not every Horizon site does, but we do because we're a fully mature site here. And it is really awesome. Summer enrichment, academic recovery, a lot of social emotional learning that does separate us from some of the other, I think, education nonprofits. That the academics is very important, but so is social emotional learning and self-esteem and feeling good about yourself, and self-awareness and all of that good stuff. So I have been with the organization since 2018, and it is wonderful. It's a labor of love. We just wrapped up our summer program a couple weeks ago, and then we'll eventually move into some of our school year programming, which will begin in October. But whereas a lot of teachers are, kind of coming back and they're ready to begin, we just wrapped our program, and I have to tell you, Seth, I really miss the kiddos already.
I bet. Tell me more about academic recovery and social emotional learning. Can you break those down a little bit more for us?
Yeah, so we see that a lot of students, they have learning loss over the summer, and it's a phenomenon called the summer slide. So for any parents or former students out there, which I guess we all were one at one point, right? What you learn throughout the course of the school year, once you kind of come to the summer and you're not really in a classroom setting, you typically don't remember everything you would learn during that school year, right? And so that's really called that summer slide, where we see that students who are more underserved or disadvantaged, they actually lose more because they're not necessarily attending camps or attending enrichment programs, right? Or going to museums. Things that are still going to kind of stimulate the brain and kind of informal learning. And so really the goal of Horizons, and why I call it kind of academic recovery, especially with COVID, right, is that we want to make sure that our kids do not lose what they had learned, that they're prepared to go into that next school year, and they feel confident and they've kind of refreshed. And they've been in an academic setting, and our results really speak for themselves. We're very proud to say that on average, we see about 2 to 3 months of growth in terms of reading and math, and we pre and post test our students at all Horizons sites nationwide and certainly in Atlanta. And we're able to see that in just about 30 days of instruction, our students are gaining about 2 to 3 months. So it's a really incredible model, and it's very results driven.
Yeah. Well, what does a typical day look like? I mean, is it like a school day, or are we talking like a camp day with sports? Tell us a little bit more about that. And also how many students you are going to be involved in that.
Yeah. So we serve 135 K through 8 students here, different sites that are different, maturity level. We have a fully mature program, meaning we've been around for at least 8, 9 years. So we've kind of seen those kids through. We have about 135 at our campus. But we serve about 1,000 in the region, in Metro Atlanta, which is really, really great and very exciting. But what does a typical day look like? Okay, so it's really not school, and it should not feel like school. However, our staff is made up of teachers, and in the morning we have a 90-minute academic block. So we are doing some remediation, we're doing math, we're doing STEM, we're doing, small group, projects, and we're reading and kind of doing all the things that one might do in, an elementary school or middle school setting, but there isn't really the pressure in terms of there are no pop quizzes, there is no homework, and we really want to make it fun. What I will tell you is that we are not a camp, although a lot of our students do refer to Horizons as their camp, which is fine because camp typically implies a lot of fun. And so if they see Horizons as the or fun summer kind of learning experience, and that's great. And we're like, yeah, camp. But it's so much more than that because it does have that academic component, the social emotional learning component. And when I talk about social emotional learning, being able to kind of identify your feelings, being able to kind of pause and say, why am I feeling a little, angry or a little down today, right? And what we've been able to do with that is really kind of mitigate some behavioral issues that we do have check-ins with our kids. They kind of post where they're feeling in the beginning of the day, at the end of the day on something called a mood meter. And so everyone comes in and they kind of say, okay, how's everyone feeling today? And they're able to kind of express, how they're doing. So as you can imagine, it's a great tool for our teachers to use, especially in terms of behavioral, kind of support.
Oh, sorry about that. I was on mute. No, that's awesome. So that gets me thinking though, on a lot. So how does one qualify to to attend this, and then how do they enroll?
So that's a very interesting question because I think a lot of people, and I hope people, the more they kind of hear about Horizons, they might think to themselves, oh my goodness, I would love for my child, to attend this program. Really, it is recommendation by recommendation. We start to enroll in kindergarten, and then those kindergartners are supposed to see their way through at least the 8th grade, and that's the model. And so when we're taking new students, we don't look for the students who maybe are the best and brightest in the sense that, school or kindergarten came very easy to them. We actually look for some students who might be a little bit behind. Children who express curiosity, who are like to learn, but maybe they're just, a little bit more behind grade level than they should be. Those are the types of students that we reach out to our partner schools, and we work with that administration and the teachers there and say, hey, who would be a good fit for Horizons? And, we've been here for 22 years, so we have wonderful relationships with our feeder schools and the teachers there, and we kind of work with them. And so sadly, it is not something that you can sign your child up for, but you really have to qualify. And the other part of the qualification would be that you have to be eligible for a free and reduced lunch.
Mm-hmm. And so there's no cost then. It's all subsidized.
Yes. So there's a very, very small parent fee, but really it is all subsidized. And in my background, before I kind of came to this line of work, I had been working for an organization that worked in the childhood hunger space. And what I can tell you is one of the things that I was most happy to see that Horizons does when I first came on board in 2018 is that we make sure that we provide very nutritious breakfast and lunch and snack meals every day. And in summer, in so many ways, can be a very critical time for children, in the sense that they're not necessarily getting that guaranteed meal, that free or reduced lunch meal that they would in school. And we also see that that's when they lose a lot of learning. So they're really kind of in a vulnerable state sometimes. Sometimes our students are, and Horizons is really there to make sure that, they're being taken care of and they have everything they need to succeed.
So with this summer slide, it makes me wonder if year-round schooling is kind of like one of the solutions that people put to it. Although on the flip side, I was a sleepaway camp kid, and I would hate to give that up. And so I'm not saying I'm pro or con, but is that one of the reasons that they consider year-round schooling?
I can't speak to year-round schooling, but I think that the research shows that it is very beneficial for any student, any child to be in an enrichment setting. But that can kind of, look different, for different kind of, folks, right? And so for a lot of students, they are privileged enough to go to sleepaway camp. I went to sleepaway camp, I went to day camps. And so you're still having those enriching experiences. But again, what we found is that there's just so much loss, but it's so much more prevalent with more disadvantaged students that's why we're here at Horizons, to kind of curb that summer slide and make sure they get what they need. But I will say, we do have a lot of fun. We go bowling, we go swimming twice a week, we do a lot of fun field trips. So that's why the students see it as camp, right? Because we do academics in the morning, which is very important, but we make sure to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what about this during the school year stuff? What was that more of like a tutoring program, or what's that like?
So what we found is that we really want to have a lot of continuity with our students throughout the course of the year. That, seeing us kind of just in the summer for 6 weeks, it's just not enough. And I think we want that connection. I personally want that connection with my students. Our teachers do, and so do our families. And so what we have decided to do, and this is going back quite a few years now, is we have something called Saturday schools, where once a month we will have a Saturday school in the morning. Kids get dropped off at 8:30. We dismiss at noon, and a couple of our teachers, or a few of our teachers, will come back and kind of do some lessons. And again, hands-on, fun learning, STEAM projects, STEAM exercise, which the kids love, all ages, right? Kind of getting their hands dirty and all of that. And we have that once a month. And so it's just kind of enough of it, kind of a touch point, right? Yeah. To let them know that we're still here, and that we really value that relationship all year long.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, there's cost to all this. Where do you all get your funds from? Is this a government subsidy? Like where's the talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So in terms of the Horizons Atlanta kind of regional model, they have their own fundraising, they have their own director of development. In terms of being at the site level as the site director, I also have kind of my work cut out for me in terms of the amount of money that we are to raise as a site. I will say, and I'm very sincere, the Holy Innocents Episcopal School community is one of the most generous communities I've ever been a part of. Not only is the administration wonderful and supportive, the parents who send their kids here, to school, are so involved and so giving and just so supportive of the work we do, that as someone who's been in development for quite a while, it really is, it's very heartwarming, and it's very, it really makes us feel very connected to this school and to the parents. And so I will say that the majority of our funds do come from individual donors. We have some grants and some family foundations and civic organizations that are very supportive of us, but a lot of our dollars really come from individuals. And some of the kind of a nice part about what we do here at the Holy Innocents location is that upper school students who attend Holy Innocents Episcopal School for high school, right? They volunteer in the program as teacher helpers. So as you can imagine, I love and really enjoy working with these volunteers. They're, teenagers who really want to give back and make a difference. And what I found, based off a lot of the college recommendations that I helped to write, right, is that this program means so much more to those students than one might think. And so it's a very mutual, beneficial relationship and partnership, in the sense that the students here get a lot out of it, and they really make the experience for a lot of our students who, fourth grader might really connect with a junior in high school who's a volunteer. And it's just a very kind of special connection. So we're fortunate that a lot of our supporters, they're parents of current students here.
That's awesome. And folks, you can make a donation too. You can go to heis.org/campus-life/horizons. I suggest you go there and check out all the stuff that they've got going on over there. Let's see. I had another question that came to mind, and that is, I'm so curious, and with the pandemic and whatnot, through the pandemic, was there innovative way that you did something new and innovative with fundraising that now you're like, hey, like you pulled $30,000 out of thin air, and they're like, well, I don't have to let that go. We can still keep this revenue stream. I figured I'm gonna start asking my guests that. I'm curious if there's anything you'd like to share.
So in terms of fundraising, again, we have been pretty consistent because of the generosity of the school and kind of the partnership that we have. So we're very fortunate that we really didn't take a hit. In terms of innovation, we are fortunate that we really don't have to kind of do a lot of events, that the reputation at the program here at the school, it kind of speaks for itself. And like I said, for a lot of those students who volunteer, it becomes a big part of their high school experience. And so, as you can imagine, that translates nicely into them support for the program. What I will say wasn't so much that we had to be innovative in terms of the fundraising, but as you can imagine, last summer, we were not on campus, right?
Mm-hmm,
and so
sure.
we were virtual, and we had some surprise expenses in the sense that I went out and got as many iPads that were needed, right? So that our students could connect with us on Zoom, as most education, nonprofits would have had to do that as well. But really, in terms of the pandemic and fundraising and all of that, our expenses were less because we weren't on campus, right? And so we weren't doing field trips, and we weren't spending, there weren't costs with transportation, right?
Yeah.
So transportation is a huge, huge expense, really the most important one, because if we can't get students here, then we don't have a program.
Right.
So it wasn't so much innovation in terms of fundraising. Our model kind of held steady, but I will say that some of the costs then did decline because we did not have a typical program.
So what about those lunches? You mentioned food was so important. Were you getting food out to folks?
So this is where we were a little bit more creative and innovative, is that we already had, we budget every year to have, 2 meals a day plus a snack for 6 weeks. So in addition to transportation, food costs are kind of the second biggest expense, right? And so we already had this, cost budgeted. And what we did, and what we kind of made the decision, is that we wanted to make sure that our students would still be provided those meals, but it was going to have to look a little different. So what I did in the pandemic, I totally masked up. I head to Kroger, and we got a lot of Kroger gift cards and Publix gift cards and grocery gift cards. And we had a couple events where it was kind of like a drive-by, right? And the parents kind of came, and we kind of gave out not only just the gift cards, but the school supplies, right? So they could kind of follow along at home on the iPad and all of that. So we did make sure to kind of dispense those grocery store gift cards. And I think a lot of the other Horizons Atlanta sites did the same thing too.
That's awesome. Now, did you do anything where you gave them ingredients and then did a Zoom cooking class?
So I don't think we did any cooking classes.
Peanut butter?
We did,
jelly.
right. We definitely did some fun STEAM events, kind of, remotely.
Oh, yeah, okay,
and so that's always kind of fun, and a little bit easier as a teacher when you have some classroom control. But considering that was out the window, it was fun to kind of see the kids on Zoom, and we post pictures and all of that. But yeah, we made the most of it, and our teachers are very, adaptable, and they are just. They were very committed, and they knew that here we are, right, in the height of this pandemic, but we're going to kind of give it our all. And I just cannot say, all I can say is our teachers are truly heroes, and they're just amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I'm glad we're past that. Hopefully, don't go back there. But the lessons that were learned are they're there forever. So, all right. Before we go, is there anything that we didn't? Do you have something coming up, or anything you wanted to share that maybe we passed through and you wanted to rehit?
Nothing that's coming up, except we're really excited to see our kiddos back in October, and we will be. We're masked up. This summer we'll be masked up for how long we need to be masked up for, right? And we're just really just so thrilled that we were able to kind of have a pandemic program, and there was no COVID this summer. So that's like a site director's dream, right? So we made it through, and it was a great summer.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. But before I let you go, I ask every one of my guests to recommend another guest. And is there an Atlanta innovator in the nonprofit world that you'd like to recommend for Coffee Connections?
There is, Seth. So an organization that I've been involved with in terms of just volunteer is an organization called Kate's Club, and it is a grief-based organization for children who have lost a parent or a sibling. And I would like to nominate my friend Lisa Amen, who's also a Horizons Atlanta board member, who's their ED there at Kate's Club. Just a super smart, bright nonprofit leader, and I think she would be an excellent next guest.
Awesome. Well, we welcome her and we thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy. Get some, like you get a little summertime now for yourself. So enjoy it. Get out there, kayak, do whatever you do. Once again, thank you, Kate. Enjoyed chatting with you. And folks, we'll be back. When are we going to be back? Let's see. We're taking Tuesday off, but Thursday, the 12th, Zoo Atlanta. Yeah, Zoo Atlanta. Excited to talk to them. And then again, Jacob Deaton, the musician, Sweet Deet, on the program on the 24th with a big announcement, and more to come in the fall. So thanks, everyone. Have a great whatever it is for you.